Today, we're going to be taking a look at the tools, armor, and items that I use when building in Terraria. Accessories, mounts, consumables, and more lie up ahead, so let's jump straight into it. Greetings friends, Khaios here. We're in a new update, which means there's an influx of new players, and since my return, I've had quite a few people telling me that I'm inspiring them to get into building for the first time, and they've been asking what gear I use for building. Enough of you that I thought it would be helpful to cover it in a video. So today we're going over all of the accessories, armor, equipables, tools, and other items that I use in my building setup. That means this video might not be the most useful for some of my more veteran viewers, as I know many of you are already builders, but there still may be some useful information in here for you all. But really quick, before we get into it, make sure that you leave a like and subscribe to tell the AI overlord that I'm doing a good job, and to help us reach our next milestone of 400,000 subscribers. And leave a comment telling me what other kinds of build tutorials you all would like to see. I'm always listening to feedback, and I'm always interested in knowing what you all want to know. Now, let's dive into... Let's start off by taking a look at the core part of my building loadout with accessories. I consider some of these essential, while others are conditional. The first essential accessory is the Hand of Creation. This increases our mining speed by 25%, increases our wall and block placement speed, increases our block and tool range, increases our pickup range for items, automatically paints or coats placed objects, and it can act as a step stool. It is crafted by combining the paint sprayer, cement mixer, brick layer, and extendo grip from the traveling merchant into an architect gizmo pack, then combining that item with an ancient chisel from the underground desert, treasure magnets from the shadow chests in the underworld, and a step stool from chests on the surface. Of course, if you don't have all of these, or if you don't have the Tinkerer's Workbench to combine them, you can equip what you have or what you need. As a tip, when you have it equipped, if you don't want to automatically paint blocks and furniture, there will be a button on the left side of your inventory that will toggle the paint sprayer on or off. Equipping the Hand of Creation with anything else used to make it will not grant bonus effects, as they do not stack together. So if you have an extendo grip plus a Hand of Creation, you will not be given any more reach than just either having the extendo grip or the Hand of Creation. You can't get them both. The next essential accessory is the tool belt, which you purchase from the Goblin Tinkerer. It increases your placement range by 1. While it isn't a huge amount, it is nice to have for building because it does stack with the Hand of Creation. The last accessory that I consider essential is the toolbox, which will be a fair bit harder to obtain. You can get it from opening presents that drop during the Christmas event, although it's pretty rare. You don't have to wait until December to go for it, however, as you could trigger the Christmas event by defeating the frost moon that spawned from a naughty present. Or you can create a world with the secret seed Jingle All the Way to get a permanent Christmas event. The toolbox increases our placement range and tool range both by 1, and it stacks with both the Hand of Creation and the tool belt. For me, I consider flight semi-essential for accessories. If I'm late game, I will always have them. If I'm early game, obviously I won't. Pick whatever wings you like the most, and I also recommend grabbing the soaring insignia from the Empress of Light to get infinite flight. Though I just use wings to get around my builds, I don't use them to actually build. I'll use mounts for that, but we'll talk about that later in the video. From there, any other accessory is totally dependent on your situation. I have different accessories handy for different uses. The Spectre Goggles will allow us to see echo blocks. The Ankh Shield is good for if you're building outside of God mode in a dangerous area because knockback is terrible. Royal Gel is also good for the same reason, to prevent slimes from hitting you. Terra Spark Boots can be amazing for not breaking thin ice and for standing on top of liquids while building. The Guide to Plant Fiber Cordage will allow you to obtain vine ropes when breaking vines. Magiluminescence will give you some movement speed, which isn't super helpful, but it produces light if you don't want to wear anything else that gives light. FPV goggles will let you see from the drone, which I'll talk about later in the video. Or you can equip accessories that give you more minions to keep you safe during your building. Really, after the essentials and situational accessories, any accessory that you want to wear is an accessory that you should wear. With those out of the way, let's talk about other equipable items that I use in my building setup. Now, this section will talk about fully functional gear, but I want to start off by talking about a bit on the vanity side. I get asked a lot what my appearance is, so I thought this video would be as good a place as any to quickly talk about that. I wear a spooky helm with green and black dye. In fact, most of my gear uses that dye color. My chest and leggings are both Vortex. The wings that I use are Jim's wings with acid dye. And I use the turkey wattle necklace for my hit sound because I think it sounds funny. I often put on random vanities, but I'm not going to dive into those. I just wanted to give you all the basic version. Now for functional gear, I prefer to wear the mining set for higher mining speed. The Ultra Bright helmet is an upgraded version of the mining helmet that comes from combining it with the night vision helmet from Granite Golems and gives both light and night vision. If you're in hard mode, you can upgrade to the Prospector set, which has the same mining buff as the mining set, but with increased armor. As for pets, none of them really impact us. The only one that could be a little helpful in my opinion is the eye bone, which drops from Deerclops, and it spawns Chester, a small bouncing portable chest that will follow you around and give you access to your piggy bank storage. I personally don't use this pet all too often because it can be opened with the smart cursor, causing me to open my piggy bank when I'm actually trying to do something else. So really, any pet will work. Same goes for light pets. I personally rarely use them because they kind of get in the way and I prefer to get light from my helmet anyway, but if you're going to use a light pet, the Wisp in a bottle is a very good choice, as you can direct what direction the light pet points by using your movement keys. This even works if you're hooked to the ground, allowing you to shift your light around wherever you need it. Next up, hooks. It's the same dealio here. Use whatever you want. I like using long-reaching hooks with high speed that have multiple grappling arms. Usually I go with the lunar hook, but you could pick anything that you have available. Hooks are amazing for hanging onto the sides of blocks where you build, and they are an essential part of a builder setup. It just doesn't really matter exactly which hook you use. Two interesting options to point out, however, are the static hook and anti-gravity hook. The static hook will stick against a block, but you won't be dragged towards it. Instead, you'll be floating in place. You can use the movement keys to move closer or further away from the anchor point in a straight line. The anti-gravity hook does something similar in that it doesn't pull you towards the block and it makes you float away from it. It's a bit different in that movement keys will cause you to rotate around that anchor point rather than move you closer or further away from it. Additionally, unlike the static hook, the anti-gravity hook has multiple grappling arms. Lastly, let's talk about mounts. In my opinion, the best mount for building, hands down, is the Witch's Broom. It has infinite flight, decent speed, it works in liquids, and it doesn't increase your size, so you could fit anywhere that you normally would, including flying through doors. It's a drop from the Morningwood boss during a pumpkin moon, so it's fairly late in progression, so there are other options as well. The Cosmic Car Keys spawn a UFO mount that gives infinite flight with the same speed as the broom. The UFO, however, does not work in liquids, and it will make you 4 blocks tall, so you don't fit through doors or tight spaces as well. It's dropped by the Martian Madness event, so it's a fairly late option too. You could use the Flying Dutchman mount, spawned by the Black Spot from the Pirate Invasion. It has infinite flight. It's a little bit slower than the other two mounts, but it does work in liquids, which is a bonus. But it's still a solid building mount. Additionally, one mount that I would highly recommend you keep around is the Drill Containment Unit. You will not use this for placing blocks, paintings, or anything else, but it is amazing for breaking blocks, walls, and more. You can break blocks by left-clicking and walls by right-clicking. Just make sure that you dismount it before trying to build again. You only get the Drill Containment Unit post-Moonlord, however, as its crafting recipe requires Luminite bars. Up next, we're going to take a look at the tools that I often use when building, and why I go with them. Let's start off with the obvious, pickaxes. Just pick whatever works best for you. Pun intended. I usually use the Vortex pickaxe in my set. Axes, same deal. Pick whatever gives you the most axe power and speed for your point in progression. Again, I usually use the Vortex Hamax for this. Now, as for hammers, this has a little bit of nuance. As I said, I carry around a Vortex Hamax, but I actually prefer to carry around 2 hammers. The Vortex option is great for quickly clearing out walls without having to use a drill containment unit due to its fast speed, but that speed is a bit of a double-edged sword. Breaking walls is not the only thing that we use hammers for. We also use them to slope blocks. But when we're doing that, they only slope a block when we click. If we hold down a hammer, it will only slope the block the first time we press the button, and every other additional swing of the hammer will just break whatever walls are behind the block. So when we have a high-speed hammer, we end up breaking walls pretty much anytime we're trying to slope blocks, which gets very annoying and frustrating. So I carry around a slower hammer that I use for shaping blocks without messing up my walls. I found that my favorite balance of hammer power and speed is the Pwn Hammer from the Wall of Flesh. Next up, let's quickly talk about weapons. Just use whatever you prefer. If you're in Journey mode, you might not need anything at all, as you could just go into God mode and turn spawns off. But if you're building in a playthrough, use whatever suits you best. Summon weapons can be particularly helpful, as they'll attack enemies on your behalf, freeing you up to focus on building. Now on to tools specific to building. For painting, we have the paintbrush, roller, and scraper sold by the painter. You'll use those until you defeat Plantera, at which point you can get ectoplasm from the dungeon, and you can craft the Spectre versions of those tools, each of which have increased range. For wiring, you'll need a grind design, wire cutter, actuation rod, and pressurator. The grind design is crafted at the Tinkerer's Workshop using a ton of wiring materials from the mechanic. It gives us the ability to place and remove any wire color, as well as actuators. While the grind design can remove things from the wire layer, wire cutters actually make the actuator and wire removal much faster and easier, so I often carry those around because you could just use the smart cursor to get the job done faster. The actuation rod will allow you to toggle blocks that have actuators on them between active and inactive states, pushing them into the background without use of wires. The pressurator will allow you to place actuators on blocks automatically when you place a block. While you can equip the pressurator as an accessory, you do not need to wear it to use it. It'll work as long as it's in your inventory, and it'll even work if it's in your void bag, which is where I usually keep it. The Grand Design and Pressurator add several toggle buttons next to your inventory so that you can choose what you want to see or use. Lastly, we have a few decorative tools. The Rebel Maker, which is sold by the Goblin Tinkerer, allows you to place decoration piles. The Mighty Tidy places stalactites and stalagmites, and it's sold by the Demolitionist, as is the Portable Kiln, which will allow you to place decorative pots. Now, all that's left to talk about in this video are the miscellaneous items that I use in building. Probably the most useful item for building, in my opinion, is the Ice Rod. It is actually a magic weapon that shoots a block of ice wherever you point your cursor to when you attack. We won't be using this as a weapon, however, which is why I didn't include it in the weapon segment. The most important part about this is that if there is an open space where you click, it will actually form a temporary block of ice in that spot. This is a block in every sense, which means that you can place blocks or walls off of it just like you do with any other block. So essentially, the Ice Rod allows us to place blocks anywhere mid-air just by placing a temporary block first. I use this anytime I need to build in the air. You can pick this powerhouse up from the wizard, and it's definitely worth the cost. Another thing that I always carry around is the Guide to Peaceful Coexistence. This prevents me from accidentally breaking plants while I build, and it also keeps critters safe. You can toggle it on or off by right-clicking it if you need to. The Encumbering Stone is another permanent slot that can be toggled. When it is locked, it'll prevent you from picking any items up, which could be particularly helpful if you don't want to flood your inventory, or if you're recording a video and you don't want to pick items up. Right-click on it to unlock it, and you'll be able to pick up items again. The Rod of Discord will teleport you to the spot where you click as long as your character could fit in that area, which is extremely useful for building, but if you do it too quickly, it could hurt you and potentially kill you. It's a rare drop from killing Chaos Elementals in the Underground Hallow. You can upgrade it by tossing it into the Shimmer after defeating the Moonlord to get a Rod of Harmony, which does the same thing without any danger to you. The Contaminator is another very useful item that allows us to use various solutions to purify, corrupt, or change the biome of nearby blocks, all of which are sold by the Steampunker, though the solutions that she sells will depend on where she's living. You could also toss the Contaminator into the Shimmer post-Moonlore to get an upgraded version called the Terraformer. The Staff of Regrowth is very handy for building landscapes, and it can be found in the underground jungle. If you want to flatten out that grass, pick up a lawnmower from the Golfer. Another item that can be useful, particularly when you're building farms, is the Quad Racer Drone. You toss out a flying drone that you can hover around the world with. Using the FPV goggles that I mentioned earlier in the video will allow you to see from the perspective of the drone, and it can be extremely useful when you need to see how your farm is working, as this gives you vision away from your character. Don't forget to carry around personal storage devices. I usually just carry the void bag in my main inventory because I can right-click to close it. This also gives me access to my void storage. Inside of that bag, however, I keep the money trough, a safe, and a defender's forge, so I technically have access to all of my personal storage items without having all of those in my main inventory. Lastly, there are some consumables that help with building. Mining and building potions can be helpful, though honestly I never remember to use them. Other consumables that can help you are the permanent buff foods. All of them can be helpful, but ambrosia is really the only builder food buff. When you eat it, you get a permanent 5% boost to mining and placement speed. You get ambrosia by throwing any fruit into the Shimmer. While it is the only building-specific buff food, another one that can be pretty helpful for a normal playthrough is the Peddler's Satchel, which increases the number of inventory slots from the Traveling Merchant. This can help you get the blocks and decorations that you need from him, as he's not always available and his inventory constantly changes. To get it, first kill the Traveling Merchant, take his hat, then throw it into the Shimmer. And that's it, all of the items that I consider important for building. I never thought that a video like this would take this long to cover, but here we are. If you're a veteran viewer, I know this might not have been the most helpful video for you, but thank you so much for sticking around this long, and I hope you found something useful. If you did, be sure to leave a like and a comment to help the channel grow, and subscribe so you're less likely to miss future content. In the future, I plan on having more beginner-friendly tutorials, but I also plan on doing a lot of advanced building, so keep your eyes peeled for that. A special thanks to my biggest supporters for the month, Kasu and Slathozar Porb, and be sure to check out my channel artist, MythicalWater, linked in the description below. Thank you all very much for watching, be back soon with a new video. Happy building!